What's up, everyone? How's it going? And welcome back to this long awaited return to making chess content on YouTube. Um, as I said previously, I sort of quit chess for a while. Now I'm back trying to train my chess calculation and chess vision. What I want to do is I want to do tactics in a very specific way. I want to evaluate the initial position, evaluate what my opponent, or in this case black, is trying to do, evaluate what my own options are, so the classic chess tactic method of checks, captures, and threats, right? And then finally offer my main line and any sub variations. And perhaps most difficult is seeing the end of each of those lines and deciding what my conversion strategy is for each of them, assuming it's a winning position. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. I've got sort of an interesting setup here. I've got OBS on my iPad over here, and I've got my computer with the tactics open on over here, so we'll see how this works out. I understand that I can see myself in the green screen and how it's all crazy. I'll figure that out as time goes by. So I said, first of all, initial position. Just what do I see looking at this? I understand that it's white to move. I already see a couple of winning lines, but I'm going to restrain myself and just comment. Both players have active pieces around exposed kings. I think that's how we can pretty much sum up this position. Two players with exposed kings and active pieces. This is kind of an important message. If it were black to move in this position, right? This is sort of like the how does black save the game? I used to do this. I reverse the tactic, do the tactic for the black side. I believe this is mate in 2 for black. Queen takes b2, king d3 forced, queen d2 is checkmate. So black to move in this position, black's clearly winning. This tells me a little bit about my options. There are no quiet moves in this position. All right, let's talk a little bit about checks, captures, and threats for the white pieces. Queen f8 is screaming to be played, of course, but there's also rook g8 check. There's any other checks in the position? Rook g8 and queen f8. These are my only checks. On the other hand, there's also something like, if I were truly desperate, queen takes c4 would be an option. It would certainly answer the immediate issue of queen b2, queen d2 checkmate. But I think the winning line here is queen f8 check. So queen f8 check, what squares can the king go to? Only f6, right? That's the only move. Now queen h8 check. The king must go to f5, only move. And then after the king goes to f5, there is rook e5 check, which would be mate, except that you have knight takes, and then queen check is mate. So this one's sort of a bad problem to start my little larger chess vision thing going on, because the variation ends in mate. And there's only one option for each of these. So right, queen f8, the only square is f6 for the king. Queen h8, the only square is f5. rook check, the only move. Yeah, so these are all just completely forcing moves. So let's go for it. Check, 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 and mate. Nice. Okay, so not quite what we're going for, but at the same time, a really good start. Initial assessment of the position. White has some almost hanging pieces, right? The knight on a4 is hanging by a thread. The pawn on c3 is hanging by a thread. I'm guessing knight takes g7 somehow just happened. I have no idea how that knight took on g7. Very curious. But I do notice that black has a slightly exposed king, right? So maybe that king's a little bit soft. Opponents captures, checks, captures, and threat. Queen takes c3 is nothing. Queen takes a4 is nothing for the moment. Knight takes e4 isn't really anything important worth examining. So yeah, the opponent doesn't have any threats, which allows me to think, okay, maybe this could be a quiet move. And so another thing that I noticed in this position, I'm moving on to white now. Do I have captures, checks, and threats? I have no worthwhile captures. Queen takes d7 is nothing. Bishop takes a7 is nothing. Checks, bishop h6 check doesn't lead to anything. Bishop h6, king h6, queen d2 check. I could maybe try to make it work, like queen d2, queen takes a4, bishop check, but that doesn't lead to anything. And so I have to move on to threats, and this is what I notice. Maybe I should have included this in my initial assessment, is that the queen on a3 is really stranded. She does not have any squares. And I believe bishop c5 is just winning the queen. So bishop c5. Knight b4, the queen is still trapped after queen takes b4. Queen takes c3 check. Queen b2, knight takes b2. Yeah, the queen is simply trapped. Okay. So this is an opportunity for me to consider what is my consolidation strategy. Maybe there are three principal moves to consider here, right? Queen takes a4, queen takes c5, and maybe something like b5. None of those, b5 doesn't really win more or less material. As a matter of fact, I can just play bishop takes b5 in that case. So I actually think there are only two moves to consider, which are queen takes a4 and bishop takes c5. Okay, so queen takes a4, queen takes a4. And how am I winning from there on out? queen takes a4, queen takes a4. I would have e5. And my point is just I'm going to open up his king, right? Knight takes e5, then I have bishop takes e7. Bishop takes e7, there's rook e8. So maybe e5 is premature. Queen takes a5, queen takes a5. Excuse me, queen takes a4, queen takes a4, and then simply bishop c4. With the idea to play like king e2. Not in any immediate danger. I think I just slow roll it. I don't see a way to immediately get at black's king. Maybe h4, h5 is worth considering. I was also thinking bishop d4, but I would prefer to just develop pieces. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to win the queen, then I'm going to just develop pieces. Queen takes c5, knight takes c5. I think that's a better version, so I think the queen should take on a4. But maybe the black's king is not as weak after queen takes c5. So that will be preferred by the computer. Yeah, I thought so. But again, it's the same strategy of consolidation. Black just played queen takes b1, so I'm down a queen in this position. What do I notice? Exposed kings, again, active pieces, again. That's the general truth when it comes to tactics, right? I already see the move, I think, but it's okay. If it were black to move in this position, rook c2 check is almost certainly winning. Queen c2 check is almost certainly winning. Knight takes e4 check is certainly winning. Yeah, so there's no chance for me to have a quiet move in this position. So it must be a check. Any move that I make in this position must be either capture the queen or a check. And of course, I have knight takes f6 check, getting my knight out of the line of fire. Bishop takes f6, and then rook takes b1, and in the final position, I am up a piece. Okay, so that's the line. Black doesn't have any other options other than bishop takes f6. Knight takes king g7, rook takes b1, and then like king takes f6. I probably just take h6. d6 is also hanging. Maybe it's better to give checks, that way I can take d6 with the threat on the rook. Okay. So bishop h6, something like king g7, I would give knight e8, excuse me, knight takes f6, if king g7, I'll probably give knight e8 check. This way, after rook e8, rook takes b1, I would have knight takes d6, and then knight takes b7 to follow and stuff like that. I think that line's very unlikely, but I do have a conversion strategy there. What's my conversion strategy after knight check, bishop takes f6, rook takes b1? I'm currently threatening d6 in that position. So black maybe plays rook d8. Rook d8, I have rook d8, bishop b6, right? Winning even more material. The important thing is that black simply doesn't have any checks, so I have a pretty good way of reducing any counterplay. Another interesting idea here is that I'm seeing is rook takes b1, rook d8 to cover, and then maybe rook g1. Just saying your king's not going to ever enter the game. I kind of like that idea. I think that's one of those. I watched a middle game video where it was like, when you're up material or when you have complete positional superiority, ask yourself, what is your opponent playing for? Like, why are they continuing the game? And then deny them that thing. Because the quicker they resign, the fewer chances you have of fucking up. So I think, yeah, rook b1, knight f6 check, first of all, rook b1, rook d8, and then in that position, the rook goes to g1.
2 hours later.
Yeah. So no consolidation strategy because it's checkmate. All right. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and thank you for accompanying me on my chess journey, and good luck to you all with your own. Goodbye for now.